Hello, good to be with you again. This is business. The public debt stock has reached a little over 112 billion cedis as of September this year. This was contained in the latest financial and economic data released by the Bank of Ghana. But there appears to be some discrepancies in the real margin of growth in the debt numbers. George Viafe tells us more.
The Bank of Ghana's report ending November shows that from July to September, the debt numbers have gone up by 6.2 billion cedis. However, when you look at the same Bank of Ghana's report released ending September, the growth over the past 2 months was 2.6 billion Ghana cedis. This is because the amount quoted by the Central Bank for the public debt in their previous report as of July was 109.8 billion Ghana cedis. However, when you look at the latest report, the bank says the debt as of July was 106.2 billion cedis. Attempts to get clarity from those who are responsible for the debt numbers have been difficult. However, a source close to the Bank of Ghana says their figures are based on numbers given to them from the Ministry of Finance, so they cannot be held responsible. But if you go with the November report, then the 112 billion cedis public debt accounts for about 67% of the total value of the economy. That is the debt GDP ratio. For some, the current development could mean that Ghana is likely to meet the IMF's end-of-year target of debt GDP ratio of 66%. This could influence the rating agencies to review Ghana's creditworthiness to a favorable position.
Now, importers of petroleum products say they will oppose any attempts by government to intervene in the setting of prices of petroleum products. Finance Minister Seth Terkper earlier announced that government is currently building up strategic reserves so they can step in to cushion consumers if prices should go up from December. But Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Senyor Hossi, says this is against market practices as far as the deregulation policy is concerned.
The market is buying not from any strategic reserve from the open market. Would a strategic reserve be feeding the market? To what extent can that happen? I have always maintained that government's most practical way of intervening in pricing now, using its fiscal space, will actually be a review of its own revenue generating space within the price build-up. But to really want to build a strategic reserve, I would need a bit more insight to be able to comment if it's operationally practical. What sometimes governments may do or maybe have been doing now is actually to subsidize its own agencies who are also operating on the same market to keep prices down, because it makes every other competitor also bring prices down. But that, I think, it's very unfair and may be quite illegal. It may be possibly is being done as we speak, but it's not proper, because it means you are distorting the market. You are subsidizing one player against another person. So what are you really doing? You are trying to knock out the private sector, because the private sector is not being subsidized, but it's competing with somebody who is being subsidized. That would be a major problem for the market. We've had wins of some of these things, but if that's the approach, I would strongly advise that it's not done, because if that's done, that's quite illegal, and that's very unfair to the private sector. It means that government practically is telling the private sector to get out of the market.
And that's all in business for now. Do make a date again at midday for more business news updates. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe.